Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
You're listening to Bloomberg Businessweek with Carol Massar and Tim Stenovec on Bloomberg Radio.
Well, let's head to Europe, Carol.
Okay.
That's where I want to go.
I'll go.
Okay. Well, you know what?
What?
Let's go to Europe. Let's do it.
Let's go to Uri Levine. He knows about creating a company, investing in companies, and about managing through good and bad times, managing through crises. He's the co-founder, of course, of Waze, a tech innovator, and the author of Fall in Love with the Problem, Not the Solution, a handbook for entrepreneurs, an updated edition, Tim, of the book just out.
Okay, Uri, we've talked a lot about your book over the last couple of years. We're going to get to your book and the new chapter in just a minute, but Carol and I were talking. We want to know what's on your radar because you invest, you advise, a lot coming in the world of AI, at least that we talk about. What's on your radar?
You know, my radar in general, this is about problem solving, right? Because by and large, I would say the simplest way to create value is solve a problem, right? And at the end of the day, an entrepreneurship journey, building a company, building a startup is all about value creation. So I don't really care what specific industry it is or what specific technology it is.
Okay.
What I care about is creating value.
So in the recent investments that you've made, the recent companies that you've advised, what are the problems that they're solving?
I'll give you some examples, right? So Pontera deals with perhaps one of the biggest challenges in the US, and this is about retirement saving, right? You know, we all realize that in many cases, people may not have enough to retire. And we help people to retire richer, right? So if you think about the order of magnitude of the problem, you know, if I'll speak with 100 Americans and I will ask them about their 401k plan, right? So their retirement saving, what is that invested at? They don't know. I do, by the way, the default. And maybe Zoom Car in India, which is an Airbnb for cars. And then you realize that the opportunity in emerging market is dramatically bigger than it is in the Western world. So I have multiple companies that I help and try to make an impact and try to make the world a better place. So this is what I do on one hand. So I'm an entrepreneur. I build the companies. I help them to grow. I help them to become successful. But I'm also a teacher. So I feel equally rewarded when I build stuff myself or I guide someone to build it. And writing the book was fulfilling my destiny as a teacher in order to help people to become more successful.
You know, one of the things that we love talking about with you, Uri, is that you have seen different environments. And I think about the environments that have come at business leaders over the last 10, 15, 20 years, whether it's a great financial crisis, whether it's a tech boom and bust, whether it's a global pandemic, whether it's geopolitical situations that include wars, global wars that really pull in everybody around the globe, whether it's political isolationism. And I do wonder, you know, as a leader, whether it's crisis, whether it's good times, like, look at today's environment. Do people still want to go out and create companies? Would they? Would you create a Waze in this environment? And I'm just trying to understand the psyche of leaders, whether it's a startup leader, a tech leader, a leader of a company that's been around for 100 or 200 years. Do you still feel comfortable making investments in an environment that is certainly, some have described as chaotic, because of global leaders or even a leader here in the United States?
Absolutely. Right. So, you know, if you would ask me what's the best day to start a company, then I will tell you today, right? And maybe yesterday is even better, right? If you want to wait for perfect timing, there is no such thing as a perfect timing, and you're going to wait forever because you'll never know. And look, this is building a company is a long journey, right? And we have seen crises over and over and over again, right? So if you look at the last 25 years, then we had so many of them. And in particular, in the last 5 years, right? And so you basically say, wait a minute, sooner or later, I will be running into a crisis, whether or not this is going to be just my company or that's going to be an industry-based or a geography-based or a company-based or whatever it is. There will be crises in your journey, right? So up until now, I used to say that, you know, building a startup is a three-dimensional journey. It's a long roller coaster journey of failures. Now I will add another dimension. It's also a journey from one crisis to the next one.
Well, the crisis is the topic of the new chapter in your book, Fall in Love with the Problem, Not the Solution, A Handbook for Entrepreneurs. Why wasn't this chapter included the first time around? Because crises are like a given for startup founders.
I didn't think about it at the beginning, right? So I thought about, understanding the essence of the journey. And then the last few years demonstrated that there are so many crises. And the result is that I decided that, wait a minute, I'm going to share that my perceptions and my observations of how to handle crisis, how to manage crisis, as a new chapter in the new edition of the book. And by and large, I would say, look, at the end of the day, if you abstract all the crises in the world and you focus on your own company, there are only two aspects of crisis. One is that you're going to run out of cash, right? And that means that you are going to die unless you do something. And the other one is that you lose your product market fit, right? So something dramatic happened and all of a sudden you become irrelevant. The second one is easier, by the way. You go back to square one and you ask yourself, okay, do I have a new idea? Do I have a new approach? Can I solve that problem, or is the problem still relevant?
Right.
And that happens, right? It could happen because of change in regulation. It could happen because of a new competitors that is being entered into the market and make you irrelevant. The first one is way more common, right? So you lose your main source of income. An investor that told you that they're going to invest disappeared. You do not meet your profitability level, and all of a sudden you have a cash problem. You took a loan, and then all of a sudden the interest went up, and you realize that you cannot do that.
I want to jump in only because we have about a minute left here. Forgive me. But you mentioned, a competitor comes in this environment of AI, where it does feel like all of a sudden OpenAI and its ChatGPT might be challenged. In terms of the AI world, do you think there could be some very significant changes where some of the significant players today are not here tomorrow? And forgive me, just got about 35 seconds.
Absolutely, yes. We started Waze in 2007. And if you think of the top 10 companies of the world today, and you ask yourself which one of them were in the top 10 in 2007, the answer is only one. The world is changing fast, rapidly, right? So some of the major players of AI today will not be the one 5 or 10 years down the road. And this is something that will keep on evolving because so many engineers and so many companies are working on that, and so much money is being invested.
Right.
So we are likely to see major changes in an AI.
Uri Levine,
at the end of the day,
thank you so much. We have to unfortunately jump in. Check out his book, though, latest edition, Fall in Love with the Problem, Not the Solution. Uri, thank you.